If you think Tywin Lannister was a masterful cunning strategist, be prepared to witness an unmatched level of carnage and ruthlessness. This is the story of the real-life Roman version of Game of Thrones Tywin Lannister. Emperor Vespasian, like Tywin Lannister, stopped at nothing to become the most powerful man the world had ever seen. Casting aside all moral constraints, he personally orchestrated one of the first mass genocides known to humanity, leaving kings and commoners alike trembling in fear of his ruthlessness. He marched his 50,000-strong army half across Europe, all the way from Egypt, to seize power by brutal force in Italy, ultimately rebuilding the foundations of Rome from the ashes of strife, forging a new era of stability and longevity that would endure for centuries to come.
In the shadow of Rome's grandeur, where the mighty often forget the soil from which they sprung, my tale begins. I am Vespasian, born to a family of modest means in a rugged countryside. My forebears were not of the ancient patrician stock, but of sturdy, relentless stock, the kind that Rome, in her folly, often overlooked. My father was a tax collector, a profession scorned by many, yet it taught me the value of coin, the weight of duty, and the power of the state. I climbed the cursus honorum, the ladder of Roman political advancement, not by the grace of birthright, but by the strength of my deeds and the sharpness of my mind. As a military tribune in Thrace, I learned the language of steel and the eloquence of strategy. In Greece and Africa, as quaestor, I wielded the ledger as deftly as the sword, mastering the art of governance. Aedile, praetor, consul, each step on the path was carved not by the whims of fortune, but by unyielding resolve. My journey was not one of solitary ambition. In the service of the empire, I crossed paths with greatness and baseness alike. I served under the aegis of the former Emperor Claudius in the conquest of Britannia, where the misty isles yielded to Roman might, and where I learned that even the barbarous heart can be tamed by discipline and order. Yet, as shadows lengthened over Rome, the venom of intrigue poisoned the well of the Senate, and the empire found itself adrift, its helm seized by the hands of madmen and fools. It was in the furthest reaches of the empire, in the sands of Egypt, that I received the tidings of my destiny. The legions, weary of the bloodshed and betrayal that overtook Rome, turned their eyes to me, seeing not just a commander but a savior, a man to mend the fractured realm. With the loyalty of the East secured, I set my sights on Rome, but ambition alone does not secure the throne. It requires the acumen to forge alliances, the resolve to crush dissent, and the vision to unite a splintered world. As the usurper Vitellius, that gluttonous pretender, occupied the throne, my resolve was steeled. From the east, I entrusted my son Titus with the siege of Jerusalem to assert my dominion over the Near East, a task demanding resolve and fortitude, while I turned my gaze westward toward the heart of our beleaguered empire. Our path was not through unguarded gates or undefended passes, but through the very soul of the empire, a realm divided by allegiance yet united in its desire for salvation. The governors of Gaul, Hispania, and the remaining free territories of the empire declared for me, their oaths of allegiance a repudiation of the chaos that had consumed Rome. As the usurper Vitellius gorged on the spoils of the Palatine, my forces, under the banner of the Flavian Eagle, advanced upon Rome. The Second Battle of Bedriacum was not merely a clash of arms, but a declaration of my intent to restore the dignity of the Roman state. Vitellius's reign ended not with the dignity of a Caesar, but with the ignominy befitting a tyrant, his body dragged through the streets by the very citizens he had sworn to protect. Upon my ascension, some in the empire sought to shake the foundations of the stability I worked so hard to build. Tribes and nations that were once allies of the Republic had grown strong and independent. Too strong, too independent. With all the might of my reign, I warned the entire world to not defy me, but I knew that war with the Batavian tribes and the Jewish nation was inevitable. In the year of discord and shadow 69 AD, when the empire seemed to fray at the edges like a worn cloak, the Batavian Revolt unfurled its banner against the might of Rome. It was a time of tribulation, a test not only of our strength, but of our resolve. Julius Civilis, a man of considerable valor yet misguided ambition, had been trained in the Roman art of war and knew that my armies were too far away fighting in Judea. Taking advantage of my weakness, Civilis led the Batavians, our erstwhile allies, to challenge the Eagle's grasp. The fortress of Vetera in Germania, a bastion of Roman power, became the stage upon which the drama of revolt was keenly felt. The fortress, garrisoned by more than 10,000 of my men, was not merely a military target, but a symbol of the dominion Rome exercised over the known world. Civilis, with cunning and force, laid siege to Vetera, encircling the legionaries with a horde inflamed by the prospect of freedom from our yoke. The siege persisted, a relentless test of endurance and spirit, for months before the fortress fell to the Batavian Germans. The fall of the fortress of Vetera was my awakening. No longer could I ignore the Batavian army's strength. Swiftly, I marshaled the forces of Italy north to the Batavian lands. In the tens of thousands, I sent sons of Rome to crush every hope of a future outside the yoke of the Eagle. Arrayed against the tempest of rebellion, our ranks stood unyielding, a phalanx of iron will and martial prowess. Our strategy, honed by the wisdom of the ages and the tactical acumen born of my command, was not to merely crush, but to outmaneuver, to turn the very fervor of our foes to ash beneath the weight of our advance. The Batavians, though fierce, found themselves ensnared in a web of Roman ingenuity, their numbers diminished under the shadow of our legions. For in the dance of war, Rome does not merely participate. It leads, a master of the arena, guiding the fates of friend and foe alike under the banner of the legion. Soon the fortress of Vetera was recaptured, and I ordered the Batavian capital reduced to ashes. The revolt, though fierce, was a storm that would break upon the steadfast shore of our resolve. In its aftermath, the empire, under my guidance, would not only endure, but emerge stronger, its authority reaffirmed, its borders secured. The Batavian Revolt thus served as a stark reminder to all who would dare challenge the eternal city. Rome is not merely an empire of legions and stone, but an unbreakable will under the guidance of a mighty emperor. By that time, Jerusalem had also fallen to my cruel might after a grim war that saw temples razed, treasures seized, and more than 1 million souls slaughtered or sold into slavery, a genocide of unseen proportions. No one ever dared to challenge my rule again. Upon my ascension, I found an empire in ruins, its treasury plundered, its people divided. Yet from these ashes, I vowed to rebuild. The hollow treasury was replenished through measures some called cruel, but I deemed necessary. Taxes were levied not as a burden, but as a covenant between Rome and her citizens, a reminder that the prosperity of the empire was a shared responsibility. I built the Colosseum, a marvel of stone and spectacle, rising from the Roman soil as a symbol of my commitment to the eternal city. Funded by the spoils of the Jewish war and the taxes I levied on urine, yes, you heard me correctly, I taxed urine. The Colosseum stood as a testament to Roman engineering and my legacy, an arena where the spirit of Rome could be celebrated, where the populace could find distraction from their toils, and where the glory of the empire was displayed in the clash of steel and the roar of the crowd. As the year 79 AD drew its final breaths, so too did I, Vespasian, Emperor of Rome, steward of its legacy and architect of its resurgence. My demise in the solace of the summer's embrace marked not merely the end of a reign, but the culmination of an era defined by restoration and fortitude. The empire, which I had inherited as a realm fractured by discord and languishing in the shadows of its former glory, I bequeathed to my successors as a colossus astride the world, its foundations secured by the reforms I enacted and the victories I secured. The treasuries, once hollow echoes, now brimmed with the spoils of judicious governance. The legions, once a tool for ambition, now stood as the guardians of peace and order. Rome, under my tenure, was transformed from a city of turmoil into a beacon of stability and prosperity. Let it be known that at the hour of my departure, Rome stood unassailable, a testament to the might and will of its emperor. In death, as in life, I remained unwavering, a titan amidst the annals of history, my legacy inscribed in the very stones of the eternal city.
Thank you for watching the 4th electrifying episode of our series covering the lives of every single Roman emperor. In this video, you witnessed firsthand how the use of sheer brutal force can forge an empire and lay waste to entire civilizations. Are you curious to uncover the real-life version of Game of Thrones legendary Robert Baratheon? Watch our video on Emperor Vitellius. Subscribe and drop a comment. We will make sure to answer you. And Emperors of History will keep uploading new videos multiple times a week to our playlist on the Roman emperors.